So let me start by saying, first, sorry for that issues, but my name is Gareth Brinn, and I am a technical writer here at Gravity. Basically, what I wanted to talk to you all about today was how myself and my teammates are using AI in our everyday work, and give you a real-life use case about how we are using AI to enhance our documentation team, and how we're using AI as a tool throughout like the tooling creation process even, and how we've enhanced ourselves, because we are only a small team of like 3 writers and our manager. So as you can imagine, we have lots to go through, and often enough we are feeling overwhelmed and under a lot of pressure. We've all been there where we have many features to document or to build, and deadlines don't change. So we wanted to create a tool and a way for us to ourselves. So that's exactly what we did. And let me talk you through how we did that today. So I wanted to present the challenge so you understood the context of what was happening. So at the time of when we built this kind of tooling and came up with these ideas, we were only 2 technical writers for 6 feature teams and 1 support team. Now, that roughly translates to about 2,695 pages of content that needed to be maintained. It was about 300 PRs every quarter for our releases, over 30 Jira tickets that needed to be tracked. And then on top of all that, we had multiple docs contributors, which are people from engineering and product, which also contributed to our doc set. But we reviewed all their work as the technical writers. So we also had that to do. And on top of that, we maintained our doc site through Gitbook, which made it much easier, but we still had to do it all. So basically, what came down to it was that we were stretched too thin, that we were often overwhelmed, we felt under quite a lot of pressure, and our only solution at the time was to work faster. But the problem with working faster was we noticed a drop in quality, a drop in productivity, and a drop in efficiency, because writing faster does not equal better docs. We needed quality over quantity. So that was the challenge that we were faced with. So, but what was the business impact? Why was this challenge something that we prioritized over every? For one, we knew that we kept going at the pace where, with the work we had, that we would simply be burnt out, able to do anything. So we knew that simply not. We had to do something, and we had to do something fast. Also, that means was that we had poor quality docs. So we were getting frustrated, leadership were getting frustrated, but most of the user was getting frustrated because it was leading to a poor user experience. What we wanted to do was what I'm calling create the autonomous user. Someone who had more or had just been introduced to it could land on our doc site and ensure that they could use the product with little to no help from the Gravity team. So as you can tell, docs impacts the whole product. We know this, it always has, and it always will. But not only was it the user experience, what we noticed was affected. We noticed through working with our sales teams by engaging with prospects. The prospect experience of people who wanted to use Gravity was getting it by being able to follow our docs, or the docs being lower quality than we would have liked. Even internal users could not guide external users to what they wanted. So this idea of the autonomous user was just simply not happening. So we knew this was impacting the business. So we knew that we had to get better, faster. So what was the solution? What did we come up with? And how did AI get involved? Well, we knew more technical writers was not really an option. We knew that the issues that we were facing were a very fundamental process issues that needed to be solved at a company level. By simply adding more people, we knew that it was not going to solve the issue. We needed to look elsewhere. So we sat down with our management team, with members of other departments, and we brainstormed. We explored every issue and wondered what was going to happen. How could we fix this? Well, we kind of discovered that there was kind of two fundamental issues that were kind of really stalling the process. We discovered that we were unable to find the collateral that we needed because it was scattered across multiple different sources like internal wikis, Jira tickets, PRs. Everything that we needed was in different locations. So we had to try our best to get those into one place. And then the other issue that we discovered was the understanding and how to get to that first draft. The fear of the blank page. How do we get past that and create good technical documentation? So we came together and we said, in the year of 2025, the year of agentic AI, why not use AI as a form of enhancement, not replacement? We knew AI is not at a place where it could replace us as writers, but it is at a place where it could enhance our documentation. It could enhance the writing experience for us and create better user experience overall. We knew it was there, but we needed to test it. We needed to come up with some way to ensure that what we were thinking would work in practice. We had the theory, now we just needed to implement it. So we needed a test case. We needed to show how AI could enhance us, and then we could push it further and further. So what we decided to do was look at the release notes. These happen every quarter. They come from multiple sources like Slab pages, Jira tickets, PRs, but they follow the same pattern, they follow the same formula. It was something that we knew that we could provide AI with a guide, with the power to generate, at the very least, a first pass at the release notes. So we sat down and we said, okay, let's do this. How do we help release notes get better? Because release notes for us require a massive cross-team collaboration. It required input from engineering teams, multiple feature teams. It required input from the product side of the PMs, directors of product, giving their input on what they wanted the user to know and why they wanted to know it. And it needed input from us. It needed the format. It needed the wording. It needed the finesse that we bring to documentation. And we realized, as we sat down as a group, we realized that the release notes would take about 8 hours of collective work if you put the time. All the feature teams, the doc teams, and the product teams looked at these release notes. So we thought this was a great place to start because the release notes should be something that could be automated AI to a certain extent, and we could really reduce that workload. Because we've all been there as technical writers that a feature gets built in the last minute and needs documentation. So we wanted to reduce this to almost 0 hours of collective work to give ourselves the space to work on other feature work or other release critical tasks that needed our attention. So we thought this was a great idea because it was all derived from the same sources, it was following the same formula and had the same patterns. This was amazing for us because we could then use all these consistent variables and build something properly with AI that could do this for us. And at the time, we also used this as an opportunity to improve the release notes. We saw this as a golden opportunity to do that. At the time, myself and my teammate, Lydia, wanted to improve our release notes to make them more user-friendly, more in line with community technical writing standards. So why not just do both at once? So we could show that we are improving all the time, and Gravity's documentation is only going to get better and better from here. So that's why we picked release notes as kind of like our test case to see if we can implement AI as a form of tool within our work. So basically, we used on a very level, this is what we did to use AI to create release. First, that we had to create a format for the release notes, and we knew that we had to gather the collateral for it, or at least come up with some way that it could gather the collateral itself without our input. Then we had to, quote unquote, train the AI, like through prompt engineering and through continuous improvement, to get the best release notes that we could from the AI. And then lastly, We wanted little to no human involvement in this process, so we decided to take it one step further. We wanted to automate that process. We wanted to make sure that all this cross-team collaboration could simply be reduced to a number of clicks, maybe 2 or 3, and maybe a couple of minutes of review time from the stakeholders, and then we could simply hit publish. So those were the high-level steps that we took. So we created the format and we gathered the collateral because we knew AI needed something to follow. It needed a strict formula. It needed explicitity. It needed to be told exactly what it had to do. So we built a template. We went through community standards, and we discovered what was everyone else doing, what was the best that we could do. So we built a template that we were planning to use ourselves going forward and do it all manually. So we were already there. We built the template. But then we said, okay, it has a template, but now it needs something else. It needs the collateral to go with it. So we decided to come up with a way to gather all the JIRA tickets and all the pull requests from all the different sources. And I said at the beginning that AI helped us also building this kind of process and these automations. So we use to help the JQL queries to help us filter the JIRA tickets necessary. We came up with GitHub filters that we could use to help us find the PRs that were specific to those release notes. It boosted our productivity. It's what might have taken hours figuring things out. ChatGPT stepped in, and like it has done by the end of this presentation, it has helped us get better by helping us help it. So we use AI through every stage of this process. And so then when we had gathered JIRA tickets, when we gathered the pull requests, we started testing different kind of like chat bots and chat models and LLMs to try and figure out what was best. So we went to ChatGPT, we paid for an account, we went to Claude.ai, we went to Anthropic, started playing around with it. And we started putting in the collateral, giving it the guidelines, giving it the format, and saying, how close can we get it? And you're probably wondering, how did you know that it was getting any bit close? Well, we used our previous release, and we did, because it was all done manually by everyone. So we knew the content was good, and we used that as our test case to say, can it get there? Can it do it better with formatting and making sure there's no errors? And you know what? It got really close. It generated really good release notes after like prompting and prompting again. Like we started with very simple prompts, just like, please generate release notes based off this collateral and this template. And then the prompts started to get more complex as we went along. We started adding specific criteria, and eventually the prompts just became pages and pages. I'm exaggerating, but you get the point that the prompts just became very long. So we got really complex and really got as strict as possible with it. And even at this point, we started thinking about like, how do we use this in code development? How do we push this into like a CI/CD pipeline? And when we had to do things like JSON scripts or any form of coding, ChatGPT stepped in then too to help myself and my teammate figure out what to do to get it to where we needed it to be. So we didn't have to rely on like solution architects or AI engineers. They were there to help us, but ChatGPT was almost our first port of call to ensure that we knew what we were doing every step of the way. At the very least, it gave us a good foundation on how to move forward. So like I said, it was an aid at every stage, and it really helped us push forward in something that might have taken much longer than it needed to. And we were able to create something much faster, much better. So we had the template, we had the collateral. What next? Like I said, we trained the AI. We used the controls, we used the release notes, and we just kept going. We never stopped. And because we knew we needed this, right? This was something that we needed now rather than later. So we kept training the AI, we kept getting more complex, we kept paying models, because something that I really want to emphasize here is that this doesn't have to be complex. We got to the point where the AI of gathering the collateral, of gathering the PO that we had started. It was still something much better than when we started, and it boosted our efficiency even in that way. So the point that I'm trying to make is that we can all do, no matter what it is, no matter how sprinting it is. Even at this stage, before we get to the next point, it's something that we can all do. And I really want to emphasize that if you budget friendly, you don't have to hire writers, you don't have to engineers, all be done in-house. Why the writers that you have is that we have the ability to do this here and now. So the next step then was, okay, so we're able to gather collateral, we have the template, we get a first draft, but surely we can take this further. Surely we can automate it. So this is where our solutions architect down with us has been helping us build these help every team in the company. So the thing that we had to do was automate it. And through that, we used a tool called N8N, which really helped us. Our solutions architect had really leveled up in this area and was able to help us through this. But basically, what we did was we generated scripts to help us kind of automate this whole process. And then we converted it into like N8N nodes workflows. Basically, we built a whole workflow in N8N using scripts, which AI helped us once again to write to make sure that we knew how to do it and do it correctly, so that we weren't always relying on engineers who are always so busy, and we want to be respectful of their time. So we built a workflow, we optimized the whole thing. And yeah, we were just, hours of work got reduced to a single click. I couldn't believe it. Well, I say a single click, it generated release notes, but it still needed human input. But all this work really did pay off. It sped us forward, it pushed us forward, and it just became a tool that we knew that we could use going forward. Now, were the release notes perfect? No, but they were an excellent first draft. We didn't need to pull, we didn't need to find PO. This tool did for us, and we were able then to use that, and all we had to do was hit the button that said execute workflow, and we would get a first draft. So suddenly, all this hours of human input, when you think about the manual inputs that we do for all the previous release notes, and then that we put in this kind of like automation and using AI to enhance us, reduced to a single hours of human input got reduced to a maximum of 1 hour of reviewing the draft to make sure that the AI didn't hallucinate anything. It didn't fill in the gaps incorrectly. But it reduced so much of that to just editing and making sure that it was okay. And that allowed myself and my teammates to focus on other work like brand new features, feature updates, and we were able to focus our time on that. And I think that was just a great first step in our journey to implementing AI as best we could. And this shows that we can do it for so much more, and we will be using it for so much more now, because we have shown that it can be done and that we can be optimized and not be stressed by things that might have stressed us out in the past, like, oh, did we write the release and everyone make sure that they were okay? We have. Suddenly, that overwhelm of having things to do got reduced. And that was a really great feeling. And it's something that we can all do. And I know N8N may be daunting at the beginning, but I do think it's a very good tool to level up in, and it's something that really helped us. And like I said, we just used ChatGPT, we used Anthropic, Claude.ai, all available, and you can pay for them all online, and you can use it today. Just call to start playing around with it and seeing what we can do with it, and how you can help your documentation team if you have 1 writer, 2 writers, 10 writers, and really enhance them so they can really start focusing on like feature work, or maybe there's historical issues that need to be focused, and you can start optimizing their time and help them become better. So like I said, this enhances us, not replaces us. It did reduce our workload, that is for sure, but it only offered a firm baseline. It wasn't perfect. We still needed to audit it as technical writers, as we will need to audit everything to ensure that it is okay. And we still had that collaborative element of asking the engineers to give it a quick pass over, or to give it the product to ensure that everything's in there, or if things need to be removed because they've been pushed to another release or another path release. So AI, we were able to work much more efficiently and produce release notes that we were proud of. And like I said, changed the format. It helped us focus our efforts, and now we spend time on it. So now we've gone from quantity over quality over quantity. So we spent the hours, and now we have something that we can really use and keep using going forward. And I'm so excited to see where this takes us next. So we think that use of AI can be quote simple, but really, as technical writers, we can become superheroes within our organization by showing how AI, we can use it as a tool, not a replacement, and how we can be better than we ever were before. And I think that's just super exciting for going forward. And I'm so excited what's next. But I really hope that through all this, you understand that there's a certain simplicity to it. Yes, there's work. Yes, there's time and effort. But by like us, you a tool, a work automation that after all this work, give it one kind of reach, ensure that it's okay, and then you can just publish, because that's where we're at today. And we're so excited to see what comes next. And I hope that you understand now that it can be done. I hope you all walk away here. We can be superheroes in our organizing. So thank you very much. I really hope you enjoyed the talk after all the technical issues. And yeah, and thank you very much for AI the Docs for this whole conference. It's been wonderful. I enjoyed listening to all the talks. If you want to connect with me, you can just find me on LinkedIn. Just Gareth Brinn, and my company is, as you can tell, Gravity. I'd be more happy to connect, share ideas and collaboration as well, and build that sense of community. So thank you all very much.